Bulgarian, it's pretty difficult, at least it was for me. It's a Slavic language, and so it uses the Cyrillic alphabet that you see in like Russian and Ukrainian. Uh, the Cyrillic alphabet itself actually started from two Bulgarian priests, one by the name of Kirill, which is where Cyrillic comes from. Kirill and Metodi are the two Bulgarian priests, and that's kind of where the alphabet originated and kind of the start of the language. So you could say Bulgarian is like the mother Slavic language where it all kind of began. Although the alphabet itself is fairly easy to get, and I know people see it and, oh, it's a different alphabet, so they immediately think it's really hard, but it's a phonetic alphabet. So once you know the sound for each letter, you can open up a book and start reading. You may have no idea what you're saying or reading, but you can read. And so the alphabet isn't too hard to get a hold of, but the language itself, at least for me, was really tricky. I don't think I'm great with languages to begin with, so it took me a while. I'd say about 6 months in country, and I could start to get by on my own. And I would say by a year, I could feel confident going into any conversation. Obviously, I mean, by the end of my mission, I still wasn't perfect, and even now, like, I'm still trying to learn and improve my Bulgarian. So I mean, it's the hardest thing about the language is learning how to speak like a Bulgarian would speak. It's easy to learn the language and be able to say, this is what I want to say in English, and then just translate it into Bulgarian, and it works. But to really speak like a Bulgarian, to say things in a way that they would say it, that's really like kind of a pretty hard thing to get down, and you just have to spend a lot of time listening to the people and listening to the way they say things and common phrases and things like that. So, and that just takes time. So be patient if you're learning the language. You just got to be patient. I know I was really hard on myself at the beginning of my mission, struggling over the language, but just a lot of hard work, a lot of prayers, and patience, and it really does come. One thing that helped me a lot, so if this was a bit of advice, and it may not work for everyone, but reading the Book of Mormon out loud really helped me quite a bit. The way things are pronounced is a little different than in American, in English. So it takes a while for your mouth to learn how to form the words and to sound Bulgarian-ish, you could say. So reading the Book of Mormon out loud really helped my mouth to kind of start speaking and my mind to start thinking of it, and I was hearing it, so I was starting to understand better. So reading out loud the Book of Mormon, that personally helped me a lot. I know others in my mission will say something else helped them quite a bit, but for me that helped a lot. And it really, find what works for you is what I would say, because there's lots of good ways. But always incorporate the Lord, because that's the best way to learn for sure.
The language, it's difficult, for sure. Like, you'll just be stumped for a long time. And the group that I was with, we studied. It was one of the last groups that still had discussions to memorize. And no group had ever done more than 2 discussions ever. And 4 people in my group learned all 6 of them. So obviously I felt like a total retard, because I'm like, why am I not learning these faster? Because these guys are like linguistic geniuses. And it was perfect because they just barely reopened Serbia for missionaries, and so some of them, those that caught on really quick, went over to Serbia. But all the same, I mean, it's a very cool language. It's very hard, like it's a consonant-based language. So it doesn't blend that well. Like English, you speak and the words run into each other. It kind of has, it's not a total melodic kind of flow, but on that scale, I'd say, the beautiful Romance languages are over here, and English is somewhere in the middle, and you got like German, and then Bulgarian's like really hard, like because you're like, oh my gosh, like everyone is so angry, like, because the language sounds harsh. It's very just consonant based, just staccato, I guess the best And then, as you learn a little bit, you start to learn that, oh, that's not really the case. Like they're not, they're just talking to each other. And then once you get fluent, you realize, no, you were right. Everyone is angry. But that's just their culture. They just like to be that way. So